First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And today we're going to be doing Matthew 12, and 46 and 50. So give me Matthew 12 and 46.
This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 46. While he yet talks to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without.
Okay, so he said while he yet talked to his people, his mother and his brethren stood without. So what that means is that they were away from him, Christ, Yahweh Shai, while he was with his brethren. Right? So and somebody had told him, they're standing over there, and he noticed that they weren't together. He was with his brethren, but his other worldly family was on the other side. So go ahead.
Desiring to speak with him.
Right, they wanted to come over there, but they didn't. They were standing over there. So Yahweh Shai was, I guess you could say, he was in between them. So go ahead.
Verse 47. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee.
Okay, so they wanted to come over. They were right there, but they wanted to come over. So why weren't they over with Yahweh Shai and who he called, who he was with? Go ahead, read that.
Verse 48. But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother, and who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren.
Okay, so he said to those people, he said, look, this is my mothers and my brothers right here, sitting down with me. Now, why would he say that? Now, he would say that because, go ahead, read that.
For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother.
So that's the reason why. Because the people over there weren't doing the will of the Father.
That's right.
And so he considered these people to be his family. Because you have to understand one thing. The kingdom is spiritual. It's not carnal, it's spiritual. So those who keep the laws are spiritual, because in Romans, I believe with Romans, it said the laws are spiritual. So if you're going to be on a spiritual level, you have to keep the laws. So evidently, the people on this side weren't keeping laws. That's what it seems like. That's why there's a separation. So we are followers of Yahweh Shai, right? We're believers of the way. So everything that he went through, he said we're going to go through. Now I know for a fact, me myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I have to separate myself to a degree from my so-called family to my real brothers, my real family, my spiritual family. So he's setting an example. Can you give me 2 Corinthians 6 and 14? He was setting an example of what you might be going through. It's just, everything he did, he said, everything he did, you're going to go through. He got persecuted, you're going to get persecuted. You got to separate your family the way he did. He's just showing you that you're going to be going through this as well. I'm not the only one that goes through this. And read that for me, please.
So 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. But be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
Right. So there you go. They didn't believe that he didn't believe that they were keeping the laws. They weren't keeping the laws, or they would have been with his brothers and sisters. I mean, when we come to congregations, when we have our feasts, when we on the Sabbath, everybody else, our family, they're doing their own thing. They're having birthday parties, they're going shopping, they're working, but the Sabbath day you have to keep it holy. So that's to keep these laws, like I said before, it's spiritual. We're not going to get to the kingdom and be carnal. There's no carnality in the kingdom. Everything is spiritual. This is spiritual warfare. So he's making a separation between the worldly and the spiritual. Can you give me Romans 7 and 14, I believe it is? So there. So he's making a separation between his family and the ones that are sitting down who he calls his family. Even though they're like, for instance, my brother here, this is my family. We're brothers because we're in the same spiritual beliefs. We're in the same spiritual system. We have the same, we serve the same spiritual father, Yahweh, because we keep the laws and we do what he told us to do. His children obey his voice. That's how you know who your family is. When you start obeying the voice of your father, I hear my father, I'm going to do what he says. Like if I was outside, if I was inside, I yell for my sons, hey, come on inside the house. And they're playing with all their kids. My kids are going to be the ones that hear my voice, and they're going to be the one that come inside the house. Other kids, they're going to ignore me because I'm not their father. You understand? So there's a separation there. Go ahead, read that. Romans 7:14.
This is Romans chapter 7 and verse 14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin.
So there you go. It says that the law is spiritual. We are carnal. So you understand. So when you're carnal, you're sinning. You understand? So there's a separation. There is no way sinners are going to be allowed to come into the kingdom. I don't care how righteous you think you are or how good you say you are. I don't do bad. I'm good to people. I do this and that. You're not keeping the law, so it don't matter. You know what I mean? So there's a separation there. There's always going to be a separation. And that's what he's showing there. You're going to have to separate yourself from your family. You're going to have to separate yourself from your job. You're going to have to separate yourself from yourself. You understand? You got to become a whole new person. You can't go and do the things you were doing before and expect to be walking in the truth, keeping the laws, which are spiritual. So that verse, Matthew 12:46-50, is there's other verses. I think it was one in Mark maybe and one in Luke. Well, I'm gonna get the one in Luke. Can you go to Luke? I believe it's 8:21 maybe. Mark, Luke. Luke 8:21. No, yeah, Luke, yeah, 8:21. So we gotta, Luke 8:21. So we're gonna see that it's the same thing, but it's by a different prophet. So we all have the same vision here in this walk. It's always gonna be the same thing. So we gotta keep this walk. And go ahead, give me that.
This is Luke chapter 8 and verse 21. And he answered and said unto them, my mother and my brethren are these which hear the word of God and do it.
See, you see that? He said, these are the ones, not those over there. These are my family that hear the word of God and do it. You can't just hear it and say, okay, that's cool. I believe in God. I have grace. I have faith. I believe. No. He said, my family, where Christ goes, the spiritual families are the ones that hear the word and do it. So you got to stop. We got to stop saying, you know what, the laws are done away with, whatever. No, you got to do it. That's the ones that Christ considers his family. Those are the ones that are going to be called to come home. You understand? All right? That's it. Shalom.